Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Nightmare random run, where we take a random character, random weapon, on a random map, and try to beat Nightmare mode with it. Hope you're all doing well. Let's see what we've got today. We have the Hunter. Okay, so obviously ranged weapons are significantly better than melee weapons on the Hunter. Let me also just check and make sure that I haven't done Crash Zone, the Hunter on Crash Zone on this save file. I have not. Okay, so we will do the Hunter here. So we're hoping, of course, to roll a ranged weapon, and we rolled Javelin, one of the best weapons for Hunter. The crit chance modifier is basically wasted, but it gives you HP, which is otherwise very hard to get on the Hunter, and this is just a very high damage weapon. So our trend of rolling pretty good weapons does continue in this series so far. It's not the best weapon on the Hunter, but it's certainly one of them. The best weapon on the Hunter, probably still just crossbows, because the extra damage that you get from additional range is very high. On this character, you can never buy harvesting, so no need to roll for that. I'm going to take the attack speed over the melee damage. Javelin, despite being a ranged weapon, scales with melee damage, note the sword. But attack speed is even more important, especially early, so we're going to grab that. We're going to go ahead and ban the pencil, lock the loot worm, and roll. Buy a Javelin. Baby Gecko, I don't need as much, but as the Hunter, we do get 1% extra damage. Now, usually you should basically ignore the range scaling, the percent damage scaling from range that the Hunter gets. Something like glasses gives you 2% damage, and so it's just not usually worth buying. Baby Gecko might be okay, because we need material pickup, but I already have the loot worm. I'm not going to lock two of the two items that do basically the same thing. The loot worm will be plenty here. So we're going to roll past the baby gecko, and bat is okay. We get lifesteal, and we don't care about losing harvesting. Roll past the baby gecko again, and I'm still rolling for more javelins, which unfortunately we only found 3. That's still okay. Having a character with really long range with a ranged weapon on Crash Zone, I definitely like. I think that Crash Zone is easier to play with ranged weapons on Nightmare mode by far, because it just makes it so much easier to deal with the summoners on wave 14 and 15. Here I'm just going to take the 2 melee damage, and then we'll buy a Javelin, leave Hedgehog in the pool, and I'll roll. Alien Worm, I'm just going to ban. We have no consumable healing, so let's just get that out of here, and then we'll lock another Javelin. Hoping to find a better item for our last non-weapon item, and we've rolled past a few that we left in the pool, but weren't worth locking. So hopefully we find another good item soon. So with Javelin, you can build crit chance. It does have increased critical multipliers. However, and the Hunter gets crit chance at an increased rate. However, you effectively buy crit chance at a reduced rate on the Javelin, because the automatic criticals, the attacks that we're going to crit anyways, the crit chance is wasted. So you're basically buying crit chance. With a level 4 Javelin, you're buying crit chance at 50% rate, because it's critting on every 2 attacks anyways, so you are getting half value out of your crit chance. I'm going to take the Lost Duck over the Loot Worm here, and then I'll roll and roll again, lock a Javelin. We're on Crash Zone, so I don't know that I want to build Curse. That being said, Javelin with Hunter is a really powerful combo. So I think I probably can get away with building Curse here. Even if we don't find cursed items, we should be able to do enough damage that we can clear cursed enemies. And the challenge for this character is just playing with really low health and having low economy because of low harvesting. Curse will help offset the low economy, because we'll get extra money from the cursed enemies. Maybe we get a cursed item, and that's excellent economy. And damage isn't really the problem for this character. It's economy and defenses. So building Curse, not going to hurt us significantly, I don't think. I did lose a lot of materials that wave because I was charging after the loot alien, but we did get it. I'll take the lifesteal here, and then I'm going to take 10% more attack speed. Just need as much attack speed as we can get. We'll buy both of these, and we'll ban medical turret for the reroll. Little frog. I don't care about dodge on this character, but of course we can't get harvesting, so no point in buying the little frog. We also don't care about pickup radius at all. We did leave a surprising number of materials on the ground last wave, given that we do have a loot worm running around, but loot worm isn't always perfect at picking up materials on a given wave. It's mostly to stop you from having to run after trees that you wouldn't otherwise be able to kill, and to make sure that you get a reasonable amount of materials, even on waves where you're just kind of hiding from the enemies, which on full projectile mode definitely can happen. There will be waves where we just won't be able to get to where the enemies are easily, and our loot worm makes sure we still make money on those waves. I'm going to ban the toxic sludge here. Although the hunter buys HP at a lower rate, you only get 66% of the HP you would normally get. You still need to buy some health on this character because you just want to reach the point where you're not getting one shot. That said, do I want a 6 health or do I want melee damage? I think I will take the 6 health and we'll take 3 armor. And now we're at a much smoother amount of defensive stats and are much less likely to die immediately. We'll upgrade our javelins here. Javelin already has a lot of piercing, so we don't want to reduce the damage per pierce. So we're going to ban sharp bullet, and then we'll roll. Gummy Berserker, still garbage on the hunter. Losing armor is just so bad on every character. So even though we get 2% damage on Gummy Berserker, we're still just going to ban it here. We're going to lock the hunting trophy and roll, and we'll pick up a javelin as well. I'm going to roll one more time because this is wave 5, so we're guaranteed to see a weapon, and that weapon could be a javelin, which we're very happy about. I'll take the goat skull as well. We have the guaranteed crits. Well, plus 100% crit, so I will need to get back to positive crit chance with the goat skull, because while you buy crit chance at a reduced rate, you still buy negative crit chance at the same rate on this character. So we want to get back to at least 0, but more melee damage still very important, so we're going to make sure we get that. Trying to clear these summoners and the eggs before they put too much health on the field for us to easily be able to deal with. And that was a slightly rougher wave, but we survived, and we got that head injury. It's still damage positive. This is why, by the way, the hunter's passive is often kind of a downside, because a lot of good items have negative range attached, and most characters don't care about that at all. On the hunter, that also costs you a little bit of damage. Now, you start with plus 100 range, so the plus 10% damage that you start with will offset almost no matter how much negative range you take, you'll still end up damage positive, but you will be probably decreasing your percent damage with the hunter's passive over the course of the wave. So like here we could get 3% damage and 30 range, or we could just take 8% damage. We're just going to take the 8% damage. I'll obviously take hunting trophy, and then Peaceful Bee I don't really want, because we're probably not building dodge, and we can't build harvesting. We don't want to lower our melee damage either. I will take the Insanity, because I do want to get back to positive crit chance, and the 4% crit chance that we get over 0 isn't completely useless. You know, it will still affect our non-automatic critical attacks. And actually, we get a little more than 4% because we're the hunter, so we'll buy it at an increased rate. Plus, increasing my crit chance is even more attractive because we have hunting trophy, which is already really good with Javelin regardless, but especially good when you've increased your crit chance even further. You're just going to make even more money. That's one of the ways that this character can really jumpstart its economy is with Hunting Trophy, because, of course, you can't use Harvesting, which is how most characters are going to get a strong economy going. But you can make money off of Hunting Trophy really easily. Here, again, we're going to take 12% damage. I would take 2 armor as well. Armor is very important, but the damage is more important. And then we're up to 32 max HP. Definitely on the low side, and I would like to increase it, but we should be able to get there. I'll lock the Lure, lock the Javelin. For 9, do I reroll? I think with 2 items locked, I won't, but that's on the edge. This wave should be relatively easy for us, given that it is a wave with just a bunch of high health, high damage enemies, and the Hunter in general, and Javelin in particular, is very good at killing that type of enemy. Next wave should also be very good for us, less because it's going to be an easy wave, and more because it's wave 9 crash zone, and we have a Hunting Trophy, and we're using Javelins, so we'll end up with a lot of money. This wave actually has been a little more challenging than I expected, just because I have very low attack speed, and so that's been making it a little harder not to take hits. So I actually was in quite a lot of danger at the end of that wave. I'm going to take 3 armor here. This is our level 10 upgrade. You can never go wrong taking armor. We'll pick up the Javelin and the Lure, and then roll. So Decomposing Flesh will cost me the natural health that we get from leveling up. We only lose 0.66 health, but we're only gaining 0.66 health every time we level up. But a bunch of lifesteal is exactly what we need, so I think I will take it, and I'll lock a Blood Leech as well, roll, lock a Javelin, and we'll go to wave 9 here. Now it's even more important than ever that I get a bunch of max health from items and from level ups. Totally fine to play at around 50 health, but I definitely want to get to about 50 health. And the amount of damage that I have is not really high enough currently to justify having really low health. Because as you can see, we're still struggling not to take hits sometimes. Definitely need to grab the consumable healing. This is a tough wave as well. I was honestly not expecting this one to be as difficult as it has been, because we have a high damage piercing weapon for wave 9. But I might not actually be able to get the Lure aliens, because we're just kind of getting overwhelmed. So, rough wave here. I took too many hits. I almost got that loot alien, but yeah, I lost out on both of the loot aliens there. We'll take a little more max HP, and then 6 melee damage. That'll help a lot. And I'll grab 15 luck as well. Pick up a Javelin, pick up a Blood Leech roll here. I will grab another Javelin and pile of books. We're at positive crit chance. This is an expensive way to buy crit as well. I think I prefer having high lifesteal to high regen, so I'm not going to invest in the Penguin here. I am going to combine and buy another Javelin, and then roll, and we'll combine and buy another Javelin. 8 melee damage, very tempting on the handcuffs. But capping my max HP at 36 is too low. I will take a small magazine, though, because attack speed matters so much, even though we have no range damage item. Attack speed is just incredibly important for us. Had to pause for a second there to take a phone call, but I am back. Wow, look at our character. I hadn't really looked at our character model, but what a wild potato we've built in this one. Really suffering from not having gotten the 2 crates last wave from the loot aliens. That would have been such a big deal. But at least now I have a lot more healing, so we shouldn't end up in that type of situation again, because I can heal up a lot faster now than I could last wave, and that'll make it significantly faster to be able to recover from a bad start to a wave like we had last time. And so if I end up in that kind of situation again, we'll get out of it a lot sooner. There was a loot alien there as well. I didn't see it in time. I'll take the black belt here. More damage, of course. I could take 4.5% damage and gain some decent range here. And I think that's okay. I will take a good range upgrade when it shows up. Like that, we'll buy Baby Gecko, we'll buy Warrior Helmet. Glasses, 2% damage, we just don't really need it. I'm going to roll here. I'll definitely take the Salt Water, and I'll roll again. And Bean Teacher, I'll take for sure. That'll be a lot of lifesteal. With 8 lifesteal and 3 regen, do I want the Weird Ghost? Is that enough health on wave 11? I think it is, and I'll buy the Ugly Tooth as well, because that'll be helpful against the elites and bosses. Now, I have reduced my move speed a lot, so I'm going to need to fix that. Then, on to wave 11 here. But wave 11, I knew it was a darkness wave, so I'm unlikely to take hits at the start of this wave, and Weird Ghost is great healing, which is, of course, extremely important, or great HP, which is, of course, extremely important to this character, so I felt like it was a very good purchase, and it's worked out very well. I am going to run up here, and we'll use our Jerky, combined with consumable healing to heal back to full, and that should help out. But now we're at 42 health with okay armor, so I'm definitely feeling a lot more comfortable than I was before. Just drinking some water. And then we're still making pretty good income. Not incredible, but pretty solid. I'm going to roll here. I'm looking for attack speed. I'm looking for armor. I should probably just take this 9 movement speed, though, and get that back positive. And then we'll definitely take a Javelin. We'll take a Bean Teacher. I'll roll here and finally found a level 1 Javelin. Recycling Machine I've generally been very unimpressed by on Nightmare mode. It just takes so long to pay off, so I've mostly stopped buying that item. I'll take the Lure, and I'll take the Javelin as well. And hopefully, we don't embarrass ourselves with the Lure again. And hopefully, we make it through this Horde wave relatively unscathed. That was weird. The audio cue for taking damage was heavily delayed. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I took the damage well before it played the sound for me taking damage. Which really threw me off, because I thought for a second that I hadn't taken a hit, but then I saw that my health bar had dropped. And I'm making my way over to the left here because I was camped on the right-hand side of the map, which is where the projectiles were coming from. And I don't want to be having to dodge the projectiles as soon as they spawn. We, of course, want to have the longest amount of time to plan for where we're going to stand to get around the projectiles. So, always important, especially when you're kind of corner camping on a Horde wave like this, to make sure that you're on the opposite side from the projectiles. I'm going to take the 9 HP here. The 4 melee damage would be good, but I, again, want to try to hit 50 health and 20 attack speed. Incredible. That's exactly what we needed. We're going to go ahead and take both of these items and then roll. Take a Javelin and a head injury. Still damage positive on the head injury. Capping my move speed here, we get 8% damage. We get 8 regen. We cap our speed at 1. I could also buy the compass first and then buy shackles. It cost me crit chance, but not enough to put it below 0. I think I like that. So I'm going to buy the compass, buy the broken mouth, lock shackles, and then we're going to wait here. But now I'm at +6 move speed, which is a lot more comfortable than +1. Just gives me a little more ease of movement around the map. Alright, there's a loot alien down there, but I need to kind of navigate through all these high health enemies to get to it, and then we should be able to have some uninterrupted time to attack it. I'm doing fairly well this wave, but I need to keep an eye out for the second loot alien. We don't have a whistle, so there's no audio cue. Here it is. And I do want to make sure, of course, that the lure actually gives us the value this time. Now, the funny thing about lure is that if you're building regen, which we have ended up building a fair amount of regen, you would probably buy lure even if it gave you no crates. It just +2 regen is still a good item for about 60. I'm going to take the improved tools. That's just how good an item it is. All right, 5% speed there is great, and then 15% more attack speed. So now, when I cap my move speed at 11, that's totally fine. We're very happy to build regen. We get 8% damage from the range, and the engineering is wasted, but that's totally okay. Can I reduce my melee damage? It's already fairly low, but I think Lucky Charm is good enough that we'll take it. I don't want to lose armor, so we won't buy the sunglasses. We will take the fairy. And then for 24, I'm not going to reroll with an expensive item locked like that. Trying to save money to get to the next wave here. One downside, of course, is that we have really high range, which means that sometimes our weapons are just missing because they're attacking and then the enemies are moving past them. But wave 14 should be relatively easy because we're a very high range, high damage character, so we should easily be able to clear the summons as they spawn most of the time. We will sometimes kill summoners that we didn't intend to, but the difficulty on this wave is if you build up a critical mass of summons, which we mostly shouldn't have happen. I am doing kind of a bad job of clearing them as they spawn, so I have ended up with a few more on the field than I wanted. Honestly, this run has been just overall like a little harder than I expected it to be, whether because of bad movement or if there were purchasing decisions I should have made differently. Always interesting to note when that happens. I had to briefly pause the recording again, because I'm just very popular today. Let's roll here. We have 75 luck. I should be able to find something pretty good here. I'm going to take the move speed, and we'll put ourselves over speed cap. And then here, do I need just more melee damage? I could take 12% damage. I could roll for armor. Obviously, armor is always good in this situation. I think I am just going to take the 6 melee damage, though. Just making sure that I have enough damage to clear the Horde wave is going to be pretty important. We'll buy Fairy. Because I bought Fairy, I'm going to buy Weird Ghost as well. We should have plenty of health regeneration to get back to full health, even though we're starting at 1. The Alien Tongue I'm going to buy because we have Fairy. We'll lock a Warrior Helmet as well, and then... do I want any of this? I don't think so. Alright, so I need to be fairly careful here because I did spawn a bunch of summons from a bunch of enhanced summons. And these little goobers are extremely dangerous, so I need to make sure I'm taking care of them. One thing that can be a little tough, too, especially on a Horde wave like this one, is that because the Javelin has Pierce, but isn't a melee weapon, it only hits a certain number of enemies at a time, unlike a melee weapon, which will hit everything in its range. So having really high range on this wave is mostly not actually helping, so I just had to kind of corner camp here. Fortunately, I built enough defenses that we were able to survive, but that's another wave that was just kind of harder than I was expecting. I'm going to take some more damage here, and then we'll buy the Warrior Helmet. Mutation would be worth a regen, but it doesn't give us anything else, so 80 for 1 regen is not really great. Do I want the cape? I could start building dodge Cape is one reason to build dodge if you get just a ton of dodge at once. I think I will buy it here. We do lose 3 regen, but we gain 5 lifesteal. We get to 20 dodge, and so suddenly we're going to be able to reach pretty high dodge pretty quickly. I'll take the banner for sure. Fruit basket. I have 3 consumable heal. Is it worth buying fruit basket? It's just so expensive. I think this is a good item, but it just costs a lot. And yeah, we can buy a lemonade. Pumpkin is great with the inherent piercing shots of the Javelin because they do lose damage per pierce, so the pumpkin will offset that. I mean, fortunately, we are in the situation where even though this run, we've had a couple things go wrong, like we bought a lure and then got no crates from it, and we're playing on a fairly weak character overall, the Hunter. I guess it's not weak, it's weak is the wrong word for it, but a difficult character, because low HP is surprisingly challenging to play with. But Javelin is such a good weapon that it mostly doesn't matter. All right, we're going to take a hit there, but I was able to find the pixel where I wouldn't die. Wave 16, of course, always challenging on Crash Zone. I'm going to recycle the Lighthouse here, and then we'll take more melee damage. I'm going to then buy this whole shop, re-roll, buy a level 1 Javelin, lock a Mastery, we'll buy the head injury, and we'll go to the next wave. Very glad that I had a lot of healing there. I keep thinking every wave I go into it going, okay, well, we just got a really good shop. The character will have totally come together and we'll be just fine now. And then every wave is still difficult. Which is a very, very unusual experience for me in these runs. Usually I have a very good sense of how strong the character is going to be. But I keep feeling like I should be slightly stronger than I am. Obviously, Nightmare mode is tough, and you're always gonna have some difficulties with it. But I was kind of expecting basically any Javelin run to be relatively free, and this hasn't been free. I'm gonna take the 9% dodge here. I took a dodge upgrade, so I can actually get to dodge cap if I find 1 or 2 more dodge upgrades. I'll buy the Javelin. We'll buy Tardigrade to go with our dodge and our low HP. I think that's fine. Hunting Trophy, unfortunately, for only 1 wave is not going to pay off, and so we're not going to buy that. Find the Elite, and we should be able to take it out pretty quickly. Now, we've also had double Horde wave, and one of them was on wave 15, which definitely made things more difficult for this run. Elite would be easier than Hordes most of the time. And my armor's okay, but not great. This Elite, definitely a tough one to fight, so I'm gonna just make sure I've got good consumable healing and stocked up. Because we have Jerky, so I can just pick up a bunch of consumables, making myself effectively invincible for 4 seconds, and then just charge after the Elite. When you have Jerky, you can kind of prep for tough fights by picking up consumables at full health before you go tank damage. It just gives you a lot of optionality as well as also just being a really powerful healing item, because it lets you control more how the healing gets applied to your character. Hourglass. So this is an Elite wave. I would lose 3 regen. We do have 20 lifesteal. And this wave was tough, and the Elite in particular is tough. I think if this was a different Elite, I would take the Hourglass, but this one, it's pretty hard for our build not to take damage against. So we are going to recycle the Hourglass, sadly, because I love that item, of course. And then I'll buy the Tardigrade here. Tardigrade would give us a little more of a safety net against the elite. Wings, we get 3 damage and 10 speed, which gets me back to 11 speed. I don't think that's worth 300 materials. I wish I could buy the barnacle here, but of course, we just wouldn't get any value out of it right at the end of the run. We'll buy a Javelin here, and we'll buy another Javelin upgrade, and for 41, I'm not going to reroll. Hoping that we roll a level 1 Javelin, of course, at the end to be able to have maxed out weapons for the boss fights. Or, you know, higher level weapons for the boss fights. Alright, lost my tardigrade there. We did just hit level 25, where I can take a 12 dodge upgrade, and that will get me to, like, 40% dodge, which is not amazing. You really do want to hit dodge cap when you start building dodge, but will be enough that it will somewhat reliably mitigate some of the incoming damage on the boss wave. So, I'm fairly happy with the decision to build dodge. Even though it is a little worse on this character than on most other characters, because you buy health at a reduced rate. Campfire, I would lose speed but gain regen. I think I will take the campfire. Losing 4 damage for 3 dodge is actually totally fine if you're building dodge. And then I'm going to roll here, and I am looking for a 12 dodge upgrade, going up to 44. I could also just take 4 armor here, and I would love the dodge, but I think 4 armor and not having to reroll is fine. The crit chance is okay. We're basically buying it at half rate. A little better than half rate, but I have 4 javelins. But I think I am going to buy it just because Javelin has increased crit damage as well. I'm going to recycle the level 1 Javelin and buy the level 3, and we'll buy a Claw Tree, get some regen damage and crit chance. And we'll buy a Tentacle as well. Roll here. None of these help. We'll roll again. And it does cost me some healing, of course, but the exoskeleton is great, so we're definitely going to take that. We're up to 60 health now, and that also gives me 20 armor, which should make me significantly safer against the bosses. Actually, I think I have... no, I don't have padding in this run. I was thinking I had padding and I shouldn't have rerolled there, but it was fine. And then let's go to the boss fight. So our 30% dodge has gone off once. Not bad at all. And on the boss fight, we just need to space where we're consistently attacking at least one and preferably both of the bosses. Though they've spread apart, so we can't hit both of them at once. I probably shouldn't have picked up that red crate, because I could have saved it for if I took a bunch of damage, but we shouldn't. It shouldn't matter, and we should easily be able to finish off the Colossus boss and win the fight here. Alright, well that was a fun run. Interesting that it was a lot more difficult than I was expecting. I reached low health several times. Let's look at why that might have been. So what items here don't belong that potentially made me weaker than I should have been? Obviously the lure that didn't give us crates was a little rough. Ugly Tooth could have been a mistake. This is some money spent on no combat stats. These two we bought to be able to buy Shackles. And the Shackles was okay, but not amazing. The Lucky Charm maybe reduced my damage output a little too much at a critical juncture. The Snail, I think I got this in a box, so I don't think I spent full price on this, but if I did spend full price on it, maybe that was an error. So interesting to look at the shopping decisions and see what I could have done a little bit differently. I think the big one is if I had trimmed the Ugly Tooth, I'd actually have been in much better shape, because we'd have had just a little bit more combat stats, and we were very close at basically every point where we were struggling. We were extremely close to being strong enough to breeze through the wave, but we were just like a little bit on the wrong end of that threshold. So just a couple little items that we could maybe have bought differently and had a few more stats. Other than that, our hunting trophy gave us 1100 materials, so it was obviously great. Our loot worm also 260, so not bad on the loot worm either. Oh, the 2 baby geckos actually probably we could have just dispensed with. They're 1% damage each, but we had a loot worm, so those, although I bought them because we're playing the hunter with a ranged weapon, so it felt right. They don't give you damage or survivability, so those could potentially have gone as well. So yeah, interesting to look back on this run and see what we maybe could have done differently to make it a little smoother. Alright, my friends, hope that you enjoyed that one, and of course, as always, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. It helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks. I'll catch you next time.